Okay, I think I'm back. Maybe I should move this a little bit here. Let me see. Is that better? Let me see. Okay. Ugh. Okay, so Bigfoot's everywhere. Do you think they are? I think they are. Hello, Connie. I can't see the screen as good as I could when I was in the car. Hello, everybody. I'm back. Cryptid and Brown Dwarf. Yeah, so, like, what are your guys' feelings? I know the ones that saw the first part, I would like to know what you guys think. So, go in the comments and comment on what do you think's going on? Do you think that Bigfoot is there's more of them? Do you think that uh, there's not as many? There's the same amount of them. They're just being seen more because do you think the internet has something to do with it? More people able to tell their stories, um, or any other idea that you have about it? Hi, Winter. I saw your name go by. Because I'm starting, I've been doing this for a long time. My first Bigfoot sighting, my very, very first one was in 1987. And even in then, people heard about it, but if you talked about it, you got laughed at. So that kind of mentality with people kind of stayed for years. People were afraid to talk about it, especially the older generation. The younger ones really didn't care so much. But the older generation, they would not tell their story because they were afraid of ridicule. Now they'll confide with people, but then they'll deny it right to your face if you talked about it with anyone with them right in front of you or within earshot or anything like that. Yeah, I still get laughed at too, cryptid. But I don't care either. And you know, I'm starting to think that there might be something that now for me, I think there's more of them, and I think they're spread out more. I think they're getting more daring and coming into more uh, heavily populated areas, and I'm what I mean by heavily populated, I mean like smack dab in the middle of little cities. I mean right in the middle of them. Long as they had canals or a river or something flowing through there, they're coming in and they're going through people's garbage, and they pick out certain people's houses and slap the houses, and they're bolder, I guess what I'm trying to say. There's more of them, and they're bolder. I know for a few years, I would say in the 90s, the 2000s, the early 2000s, before 2010, so that decade of 2000, 2010, we didn't even consider Bigfoot being anywhere near populated areas. In fact, we drove hours and hours to get to areas where when I'm sitting in I hope I'm not sitting in ants, but we would drive for hours to get to really rural, out of the way, and I mean really out of the way, where campgrounds that were you would camp in a campground or even make a place off the side of the road, and set up a camp, and then hike a couple of miles, and then we would be in areas where we were starting to have Bigfoot activity. And that we did that for so long. How do you get a blue wrench? I have to give it to you, but I can't give it to you right now, sadly. I got to do it later on. But the wind's gonna be bugging me now. Hey, how's it going? 450. So I'm aiming the wrong way for the wind. Oh well. Yeah, so we would go real far, and the Bigfoot were there, and there was clans or families, I guess, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we got DNA out there. Um, we did all kinds of cool things, but we never ever heard. I mean, even when we would be I would go to places and talk about Bigfoot, and nobody ever came to me and said they had one running around their alley in the neighborhood. Nobody ever came to me and said they were fishing along the Kings River or San Joaquin River or any river that was in the valley, in a more populated area where a lot of people were fishing and swimming and boating and all that. That you just did not hear about it. In the last, I would say, what is it? The last 4 years, 5 years, all of a sudden, and it seemed like all of a sudden to me, we started getting reports, and the first one actually was a couple of little boys out in the country. They walked this route every day to the bus stop and then to home again, and there was a little shortcut that they would take, and it would go right next to a creek that had about a 2.5, maybe 3 acre dense jungle. Like, I mean, you can't walk through and it was dense, but it had wild berries right there. It had figs in the actual little wild area there, and this little creek ran right along it. And then all around it was oranges. And oranges turned out to be something that was prevalent in a lot of the sightings down here in the more populated areas. Hey, Adolf, Bolt Gun, what's up, you guys? Hi, Heart. So we when we first got that story, a lot of the people that I went out with, Bigfooting at the time, they had a hard time. They didn't believe these little boys. In fact, uh, everybody wanted to go talk to the little boys, and some of them did, and they even told them they thought they were seeing things, but I believed them. I believed the little boys. And then a year later, down the street from the little boys, it gets another report. And you guys know of him as Bigfoot Joe on the Paranormal Central that we did. Okay, now these things, and I'm getting to a point, or I'm wanting to get somewhere with this, right? And like when we were talking earlier about the times that we live in, Bigfoot Joe, they harassed him so bad that he wound up finding Jesus and getting saved. And that's how he stopped them from coming and harassing him anymore. But it took over a year of them messing with him and freezing his dog. I mean, they would freeze his dog totally where it couldn't even move. All it could move was its eyes. And see, now when he started telling that story, it started reminding me of other stories that I would, or accounts people were reporting to me about the shadow people. And the shadow people were coming into people's rooms. And it also reminded me of alien abductions. Some of the things they would say that they can't move. All they could move was their eyes. They couldn't speak. Uh, and the only thing that ever helped stop it was the name of Jesus. And it was the Bigfoot thing. It surprised me when Bigfoot Joe. I never heard of it before. I haven't tried it my own self, but it surprised me when he said he stopped all the activity of the Bigfoots around his place with that name. And I know of people that stopped alien abductions with that name. I know people that stopped shadow people with that name. I know I've cleaned out haunted houses, or you know haunted houses, or houses that were being having hauntings or and stuff being thrown around and all kinds of stuff, and I've cleaned those houses out with that name. So my research in the Bigfoot lately, and the stories that I've been getting, the Bigfoots are bolder, more aggressive. Looking in people's windows at little girls or children, and even testing the windows. Pushing on them, leaving their handprints, their face prints on the windows. They don't go into they don't go to the parents' bedrooms and stare in their window. They always are going after the little kids. And then that reminds me, in along the stories that the First Nation people told me. That's what the Bigfoot were doing a millennia ago. Like centuries for centuries, they were stealing little kids and young women, and the young women, and they were using as wives or food. The children mostly food, but they would maybe sometimes keep them in their clan if it was a little girl, and grow them up to be a wife to these Bigfoot. And there's so many stories. You can look them up. The Cherokee have them. A lot of the Canadian First Nation people have them. I mean, it goes all over the United States, probably all over the world. I mean, I was reading some accounts of in the Himalayas, the same thing. They were doing the same thing. So why are all of a sudden now, today, are we hearing more about it? And the there's more stories of them being aggressive and mean than they are nice. Every once in a while there is a nice story, or somebody got saved by, they helped the person. There are those. It makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder. I don't have the answers. I'm not an expert. I don't know anything about it. All I know, I've seen them. I've seen them do things that are, it would be like comic book type stuff, like running several hundred yards in 4 or 5 seconds. Uh, Lifting logs. Now, I didn't see him lift the log, but then, where we were at, a log got put in the middle of the road that was the size of a telephone pole. No tracks, no anything, no drag marks. Just this big old huge 14 inch around by 15 feet, 16 feet long log, which weighed probably, 1,100 pounds or something like that, set in the middle of the road. And I mean not crossways, I mean long ways in the road, which made it harder to get out of the road. Usually, if there's logs, we would bring chainsaws, and if the log was crossing the road, we would just cut here and there and then push that section out and keep going. But when the log is laying, straight along the road, along the crown of the dirt road, and a drop off on one side and a hill on the other side, you can't get around it. And then it would take 5 of us to push it off the road, and we would tear the road up getting it out of the road. It makes you ponder all these things. And man, have I been pondering uh, all these things, and I'm asking a million questions. I have a bazillion more questions. I'm trying to wrap my mind around, why are we hearing more about them? Why are they getting more aggressive? Why are there more stories of people being habituated? Now, we used to have stories of Bigfoot, people habituating areas where Bigfoot were. Now people move out into the woods, and now they're being habituated by the Bigfoot, right? The Bigfoot are habituating them and not leaving them alone, and looking in their windows and slapping their house, and just amazing stuff. But I really don't have any more like answers or anything, but I would like to hear what you guys have to say on it. And I know there's a lot of people that listen that go out and talk to people that seen Bigfoot, and they've seen Bigfoot, and they also go out looking for Bigfoot. I would like to hear everybody's opinion on where are you at with this? What conclusions are you coming to, or what questions have you come to that you want answered? Like, I want to know those things. I think it is in times, Bolton. I really do. I mean, I'm not firm on that, but I do believe we're living in those days. There's just too much going on in the other countries, in the government, in the sky, in the earth, uh, that you can't deny that something's going on. You just can't. I mean, there's more of everything. I mean, there's volcanoes that have woke up that haven't blown their top in 500,000 years, and then all of a sudden now they're firing up. There's earthquakes everywhere. Last couple of weeks, there's been some real deep earthquakes, which lead to They've led to some huge earthquakes in the Philippines and all around. I mean, it just isn't the same. It's not like, hey, California is going to drop off into the. It's just an interesting thing about the Momo. Maybe one day I could get my live set up where I can take calls and stuff like that, or Skype, and we can Skype and talk about that one day. That's interesting. I'd love to see that. Yeah, prophecies being fulfilled every single day now, every single day. Especially the Trump thing. I know like people are beating this to death, the news, everybody, but if you follow what Trump's doing, he's fulfilling some prophecies that would be bringing on the end times. And if anybody's versed in that, you'll be able to see it like right away. Oh, it disappeared before I could read it. But I don't want to go into all the politics or anything like that. I think enough people are talking about that. But it's interesting, especially when I'll talk about a little bit. Like there's some things like Israel, for instance. They created a coin with Trump on it, and it has King Cyrus and Trump on one side, and it has the new temple on the other side, the third temple on the other side. is that a coincidence? Why are they doing that? Where do they think we are if they're doing that, right? See, now that's when you say giants, that's Bigfoots are giants. And one of the scriptures says that so it was in the days of Noah, in the end days it'll be like the days of Noah. Well, one of the things that was in the days of Noah was giants were throughout the land. Well, these things that I see are giants. They're huge and they have powers like comic book, like if you go to the movies and you watch, the Marvel thing, they grab things and they do things that are inhuman, that yeah, I understand about not wanting to talk about religion on it, and but where's the line now? The line's starting to be blurred by by this. Like, what are these things? What what are they? They supposedly mind speak. According to the First Nations people, they mind speak. Like the Cherokee believed that when that they would read your mind. They could read your mind and know what you're thinking and doing. They believed that they were supernatural in that they could open portals into the side of the mountain, and that's where they lived. So there could be a giant boulder like side of a mountain, and and they would take people. Hey, Northern, they would take people, and if the people were allowed to return back to their village, they would talk about how that they would step into a creek. Okay, they would step into a creek and walk a few miles, but as soon as they stepped in the creek, it wasn't a creek; it was a trail. But when they walked up to it, it was a creek. And then they would follow this to a giant rock mountain, solid granite outcrop on a mountain, like the mountain's made out of granite. And then all of a sudden, this cave would open up and they would go into the cave. So now, when they weren't with a Bigfoot, it was a creek. And they never could find the hole in the mountain. And they couldn't even find the place again. And a lot of times they were told if they told if they went back and told their village what they saw and heard, they would die within 7 days. And according to everything I've read and people that I've talked to, that happened. Like, as long as they kept their mouth shut, they didn't die. As soon as they started talking about it, they died within 7 days. It's just interesting. Yeah, that's my cat. His name's Sasquatch. How's that one for you? My grandkids named him, but that's Squatchy, little Squatch. But yeah, so I don't know. I just have a lot of questions. I know a lot of history on them. I've been researching this since 1987. Uh, I wasn't. I wasn't wanting to go get it to the Christian thing, but it kind of is leading there into not. I'm not saying religion, but spiritual, it, where they disappear right in front of you. I've tracked them in the mountains, and okay, Squatch. I've tracked them in the mountains, sometimes like for a couple miles, and then come to the end of the tracks. And what I'm saying is the tracks would end. They just disappear right there. I mean, the track would end. I don't know where they went. I don't know where they didn't backtrack on their own track. There wasn't a tree for them to jump to, not within 100 yards. There was no way for them to stop right there. They had to have a. I mean, I don't know what happened. They just stopped. The tracks stopped. So I mean, there's just so much weirdness with it, and I'm just trying to make sense of it. Maybe learn something from it. Try to figure out what are we dealing with here. What really are we dealing with? We don't know enough about them to know what they truly are, or what they really do, or how they really live, or what's their real personality like. We don't know. And I don't know, I just want to know, I guess. Cat. But a hybrid of what, though? Like a hybrid, what was it, a human and a what? A monkey? Like what is it? Yeah, no, I don't mean like they melt. I mean they flat out, like I have reports of them disappearing, okay, right in front of people's eyes. And people that I trust, that I've known for a long time, they didn't believe in Bigfoot, and then they see one running and it pops, or I don't know what you call it, phase in and out. Like it's running at a superhuman speed, and then all of a sudden it just pops out, and then re-pops in, and then pops out, and then re-pops in, like blanking in and out. Like, and I've had several stories like that. I've had them where people were face to face with it, and it glowed its eyes red, and then all of a sudden it just faded out, gone. You know, just weird things that, if you're saying they're flesh and blood, how did it do that? And I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea. Well, I don't know. I wish I knew. Yeah, see, now the DNA that we found, we had it tested. It came out human, and they said that we contaminated it. So the next test, a few weeks later, we all swabbed and gave our DNA, and everyone that was even could get close to that DNA to contaminate it. There was like 6 of us. So then we had our DNA taken out of it, just in case. Okay. So the next test was a little bit deeper, and it came out about 97% human, and then there was about 3% or 2.7%, something like that, undocumented data. Like they didn't have any, it didn't match any data of any DNA that they've acquired so far. So that was interesting. And people say we have nobody has DNA. That's a lie. We have DNA. Not only just us. There's a lot of people that's put in DNA. The only thing is it comes out human, and so then everyone can say it's contaminated. But I don't know. I'm all I know is there was a percentage that was, unknown, unknown. Very interesting. They could be ancient human. They really could. Yes, I'm guessing right now too. I'm just putting things out there, mostly to get people thinking. Because I have a feeling a lot of people already drew the conclusion. They think it's, but they'll read some stories on the internet and they'll say, so this is what we're dealing with. And they actually made up their mind, and they have no clue at all, because they didn't read, or they discount stories that doesn't agree with their what they think. And it could be angelic. is it the good angels or the bad angels? I'm kind of leaning towards the bad, but I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I kind of am leaning towards the bad too. You know, we have to start thinking outside the box, because not only are the Bigfoot sightings going off the chart, so are UFO sightings. They're becoming more and more and more, so much more that the Navy and the government decided that they're gonna reevaluate how the pilots can report now. I mean, that's telling you something. That's telling, right? That's telling. Dogman too. You're right. Just ask Cryptid about that one. 559. When we go out, we're looking for Dogman as well. Yeah, that's a good question right there. Was it Cain that was sent out to live in the wilds? It was Cain, I think. In fact, um, I think it was I think it was Dr. Johnson before he had his before Dr. Johnson had the Janu or whatever, before he knew they were about the Janu and all that. I mean, that's a whole nother trip to add to Bigfoot right there. The Janu and the other one, the Cratons or whatever they call them. Um, he talked about one of them mind spoke with him and told him that they were related to Cain. That was their bloodline. We came down through Cain. That's what he was told. I'll have to find that one day. Maybe I'll talk about that a little deeper one time. That was a real that gave me a lot to think about and a line to research down, on the internet. I love the internet because you can research things. There's a lot of people putting out phony fake stuff, but there's a lot that's not phony and fake and people are just saying it's phony and fake. And that's part of the dilemma of researching this is especially for the people that are armchair researchers and don't have any field work going out and actually running into them or having things thrown at them or tracking them in their or talking to people face to face about stories and stuff like that. They don't have that to fall back on. Like I have 30 years of that because I'm not afraid to say I saw a Bigfoot and I have no idea what happened. I should not be losing connection. That's kind of weird. Because I'm running off of a really good Wi-Fi signal, and I'm only like 20 feet from the router, and I have my cell phone. I'm on my cell phone. I have service full 4G. I mean, come on, what's up? But I didn't turn it off or anything. I knew I would be back. I was sitting there going, reconnecting, reconnecting. Yeah, so I'm done being deep. I'm done being deep. I just wanted to get that kind of out. Um, yeah, I miss being on here. I've been having a rough time. I need your guys' prayers. I've been having a hard time getting on to do anything. And then I've been having a little bit of health problems too. That I'm hoping it's tendonitis and not RSD spreading into my arms. But I've been having some trouble with my arms. I can't even pick up a gallon of milk lately. Um, Today I can, but there's been some days where I don't know what's going on. I hope it's not RSD. tendonitis can be treated. RSD, there's no cure and there's no treatment. So I'm hoping that it's not RSD. And I was just, while I was disconnected, I was looking at the sky. I wonder if I can, wonder if I could switch the camera. Let me see here. You guys see all those lines up there? They're spraying us, man. They're spraying us. Oh, I can't get it back. Yeah, you see all those chemtrails? Oh, there we go. Dang, the darn thing doesn't want to come back. But yeah, like, what's up with all the spraying? They got to stop that. Let me see here. The cracks on your iPad screen. When I just broke my, what is it, that little shield screen on the phone. I just broke it, and luckily I bought the insurance, so they're gonna give me a new one, and they're sending it to me, free shipping and all that, and I'm gonna put it on. Yeah, they've been spraying around here too, a lot. In fact, um, I dig Daytona. I don't know if he's in here right now. I haven't been able to get out with that machine, sent the gold machine, for since that one day, and the batteries in the camera were, I didn't realize, but I only brought one full one, and the other ones were dead. So I didn't get a chance to do any video with that, but I will. Right, I want to go in the creeks, and the creeks are just raging with. We had 150 something percent more snow this year, so everything's going to be flooded. The next couple months is going to be raging, but only that is going to remove a lot of gold and send it down the creeks. So we'll be able to, when the levels go down, I have a feeling we're going to have a good time with that machine, man. In the foothills of California, that's where I'm from. I raised my kids in the foothills. I wanted them to go to school up there. I wanted them to graduate up there. I didn't want them to be able to walk to the mall and get in trouble. Even though they still found ways to get in trouble up there, it wasn't like living in the city, that's for sure. And now they're older, and I was showing that video I put up last week, and my kids started messaging me, and they go, "Oh my God, that looks like home." And they're all in Wisconsin and all around, Indiana, and they're like, "Oh my God, that looks like home." Reminded them of home. Yeah, so I'm done being getting really deep, but I do want you guys to comment on that, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and where you're at on it, because I have a feeling a lot of people have their opinion, and don't be afraid to put it on there. If people make fun, don't be afraid of it. It's not something to be afraid of.
Say hello, Winter. She's still here.
Oh, I already said hello.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of want to go traveling a little bit and visit some other states and go squatching with some people in different states. And I want to see the different habitats. Like, I want to experience other areas and try to see, like, what do we have in common, what do we don't have in common, things like that. It would be so fun. Come to Ireland. I would love to go to Ireland. They have little people over there in Ireland. They have little people over here too. A lot of old stories, First Nation stories about the little people, even within our own family, where about the little people. And I would love to go over there. I think they're still there over there. In fact, the little people really are all over the world. But the the Irish, they really wrote about it a lot. Yeah, exactly. They have them in Mexico. They have some really trippy Bigfoot in Mexico. I talked to a few people online from Mexico, and they live by Mexico City, and they were out at a volcano, and they see these things on the side of the volcano, and they're huge, big, giant things walking out there, just like the ones. I have some friends that are Inuit up in Alaska or above Alaska or somewhere up there. I don't really know, but they don't have trees, and there's no trees where they're at. It's like a desert kind of in that respect. But they have low, like in certain times of the year. Ah, hair in my mouth. Certain times of the year, there's a lot of berries on the tundra that they call tundra, and they see 24-foot tall. They're calling them, they have a different name for it, but they told me it's Bigfoot, is what it is. 24 feet tall. And man, that's huge. At first, I didn't believe, I was having a hard time believing him, but I've, started researching it, and I checked into it, and these stories go back. And one lady's afraid because I guess she made eye contact with it, and it started visiting her little house. And they have this little villages with maybe 100 people living in it. And she would look out her window, and it would be out there, and and the sun doesn't set for over there. There's certain times of the year, so it's always bright, so they could see these things, 24, 25 feet tall, walking around out there, big old huge giant prints, and getting the berries. They were telling me they have a basket, they have baskets, and the Bigfoot have baskets, and they strapped to their back, and they are picking the berries, and they're known to even pick up children and throw them in the basket. And they were saying there's something in the basket that they put inside the basket where the kids can't crawl out, like something slickery in there. But they're known to throw them in the basket too. If the opportunity arises, they'll be throwing them in a basket. It's so interesting, the different stories. But 24 feet, that's huge. 24, 25 feet. Yeah, and eat them. Eat the children, yeah. That's kind of a theme that runs throughout the United States. I don't know what they're made of. She didn't say. They're wood baskets made from like woven baskets. But they're collecting the berries, but they will collect children too. And I guess some of them are known, they don't even collect the berries, they're just collecting children. And that's scary, man. Scary. Reach in the window of their little house and pull the children out and throw it in a basket. Run around collecting children. Even though you don't hear stories about that, I don't know how old the stories are of that. It could be from a while back. I don't know. But the stories of them being out there are as early as last year. So, you know, a huge nest. Wow. Like in a tree? Up in a tree, like for a bird? Oh, I believe it, man. I believe it. Mexico is scary. Actually, everywhere is scary. Every place could be scary depending on where you live at. Yeah. I always wanted to go to Alaska too. Really? Santa Claus? Did he have a basket where he took children? Dang, man, that's really a big one right there. Big chemtrail. Wow, really? On the ground, huh? See, I've been watching a lot of videos in the middle of the night, can't sleep, and 3 o'clock. I'll have to look up Krampus. So I'll watch some videos. Like I watch Brown Dwarf and all the structures that Brown Dwarf puts up. It amazing, and humans aren't doing that, at all. And then I start looking for videos with structures, and they're everywhere, everywhere. Even what's his name up there in Canada, Sylvanic or whatever his name is. He even has structure stuff, huge, huge structures. We have structures over here, a lot of structures. Yeah, yeah. That's what I miss. I miss hanging out with Jeffrey and talking about these things. He's pretty open about things, and we have we researched a lot of stuff. I mean, we went in some scary places. Me and Jeff have, and or Jeff and I. Yeah, Colorado Bigfoot. He just put up some recently. He's a friend on Facebook with me, and he's got some interesting things. I'm watching out for ticks. That's a scary thing. I heard the ticks are going wild this year. You got to watch out. Check yourself if you're out in the woods. And if you're in California or really anywhere where there's snakes, the snakes are coming out. So all you people out in the going out in the woods, watch out for the snakes and check yourself for ticks after. The ticks are going to be off the chart this year. Um, that's just what I've been told. And I found a few around here, but when you go out they hang on the plants, on the edge of the plant, and when you walk by, they'll hook up on your clothes and crawl in and get on you, and you won't even know it. You get bit. And they're saying Lyme disease is off the chart. They have a new one called Lyme 2. No cure or anything. So be real careful. Let's see. Sounds beautiful. I love the birds. Yeah, well, you guys. Yeah. Be freaking out. I hope you don't get Lyme from it. I'll be praying for you. I am going to let you guys go. I have to go. It's getting around that time when I have to start thinking about what everybody's going to eat and what I'm going to do about it. But yeah, I want to tell you I enjoyed this thoroughly. I want to sit and chat with you guys, have a chat session with you. One of these, maybe I could get to it in the next few days. I have no idea. I can't make promises. I do know I'll be going out again real soon and bring some more video and have it edited in. I want to thank Captain Bob. He has helped me so much through this time that I've been going through. My son dying and all this stuff that it just like seems like a big wave has come through and just messed with me. But Captain Bob has helped me so much, and he even sent me some money to buy a drone, and I bought a nice one. I have a Mavic Pro and all the batteries and everything. Now I'm trying to figure out where I can fly it. I'm learning how to fly it right now. I can't fly it at my house because I'm within 5 miles of an airport. I have all these places, and then I found out if I put drone video on my YouTube, if I monetize it, then that means I'm making money off of drone videos, and I have to have a commercial drone pilot's license. I'm like, oh, gee, from the FFA or FAA or whatever it is. It's like, oh man. But I have been practicing with it. I've been going out to this one area when I can and flying. I made like a couple of trips out there, and then I found out uh, it's a military area. Oh, your daughter died. Oh man, I'll be praying for you. I'm so sorry for your loss. That is so difficult. I understand. I'll be praying for you. But I've been going out and practicing, and now I found out that the area that I'm going in is some kind of test range for the military. Even though it's totally wide open, there's no trees, there's water, but there's no trees and stuff. And so I'm really having a hard time finding where I can fly this thing. If I do, put something together with that. I put a little bit of video of it on the last video that I put up, the edited video. At the very, very, very end, there's some drone video of the river, the Lower Kings below the dam, and but only I didn't put very much because I don't want the FFA or FAA to get after me for doing commercial things with my what I think is kind of like an expensive toy. I think they're going way. I'm getting tired of the government getting in our business. I don't mind following rules, but when the rules are getting ridiculous, it bothers me. And lately, the rules are ridiculous. They're ridiculous on drones, that's for sure. YouTube is ridiculous on its rules and how when they demonetize me and all kinds of stuff. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous, really terrible. Anyways, I'll be praying for you guys. I'll be praying for you, Heart, and everyone, Bolt Gun, and then I'm praying for you, Captain Bob, for helping me so much. You've been a lifesaver, my brother, and I just want you to know that. And I have all of you in prayer all the time, constantly, even when I'm not on and you don't see me. You can know and be assured that I am praying for you all. And I want you to know I love you. And I'll try to get on more as I get things taken care of. But I didn't forget about you guys, and just pray for me as I'm going through these things, and pray that there's time for me to get on and hang out with you guys some more, because it's therapy to do this with you guys. And I'll be praying for you, Amanda, and we shall see you in the next video, whatever they say.